Welcome back to the Improve Your Photography YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to go over what I think is an incredibly effective and simple way to give a real lift to your photos. If you've got JPEGs, this does not work with RAW. The Windows Photo app does not accept RAW files. So if you've got photos and you want to give them a real lift in a very sort of speedy, effective manner, this is really great for you. It's really brilliant. It's two preset filters that are in the Windows Photo app, Auto Enhance and the Warm Contrast filter. There's other filters as well, but that's the two that I'm focusing in on this video, which I find incredibly effective to give your photos a bit of a kick in a very simple, straightforward manner. So let's jump in, but before we do, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you are informed when more of these videos come out. So look, let's start. Let's enhance these photographs. I'll go through a number of examples. I'll take them one by one, and we'll go through and see which of the two filters are best, also see how effective the two filters are, and also when they don't work as well. Doesn't always work. We'll go through some examples. In the Windows Photo app, picture of the lolly shop with the awning, and I like the shot, but I want to give it a bit of lift. I think there's more in the shot. So I come along up to the top left and click on this icon, which takes me to the editing. Now, in previous videos, we've gone to adjustment. Just a reminder there, that's what brings up there. But today we're coming over to filters, and you'll see a selection over on the right hand side. I'm on a laptop, so it depends on what you are on. The layout might be slightly different, but there's preset filters, including Auto Enhance. Now, often you want to do your own adjustments, but we'll just come back over here. There's all the different individual things that you could do with the Windows Photo app. In previous videos, we've covered saturation and we've covered contrast. So if you want to check those out, do check it out. It's on the YouTube channel here. So I'm just going to go back to filters. And these are the two that I will often go to give a photograph a quick kick, if you like. And then I do another adjustment, and I will show you that. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to try Auto Enhance. Bang, look at that. Increased in color, increase in contrast. Fantastic. Bring it back, that's the original. There we are, look at that. Wow, I could sit here all day doing this. Look at that. Wow, love it. Brilliant. Improves the detail in the window. Now, the first thing we notice also, we have this control. It's done on Auto Enhance, and we have this. So we could actually, and if we bring it all the way back down, we're back to square one. That's how it originally worked. That's the full result. But we have choices. So that's the original. And it could be, you say, well, that's just a little bit much. In my mind, it's not in this particular example. But if it was, I could bring it down to like 62. And it still gives it a kick. And we bring it back. That's that. That's 62. Still gives it a nice lift. I'm happy for it to be a bit more. I'm going to leave it at 80. Now, that's the way it looks with Auto Enhance. Another alternative, we come over to the Warm Contrast filter. Wow. Now, in this case, it's too warm for me. It's added too much warmth, and the color distorts. I don't like it as much, and it doesn't matter whether I even go into the middle. To me, it's not working as well. So for this photograph, and let's compare it, we come back, that's original, now the auto. That's at 80, that's at 100. So for me, it would be around that 80 mark. So on this occasion, we're going to leave it on the Auto Enhance filter. because the warm contrast, the warmth doesn't fit with the colors. And just a reminder, let's take that off, come over to warm contrast. That's the original, and there we go. And if you wanted it stronger, you can. Again, the one thing in common with all these things, it's personal taste. There's no right or wrong. I always like to keep one of my guidelines with all my editing, with some exceptions. There's always exceptions. But one of my guidelines for myself, one of the things, just simply, it's not even a guideline, it's my preference, is I don't like to push or alter the photograph too far from its original colors or settings, if you like. And this does exactly that. It's given the photograph a lift, but it hasn't pushed it beyond the reality of it all. So I'm going to come over here, the save options. I'm going to save as a copy. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to come over to downloads and save it in my downloads, but it could easily be on a USB stick. It could be in the cloud, it could be anywhere you want to put them, any file. But for me, I'm just choosing, I'm on a laptop, choosing to put it in the downloads folder, but it could be anywhere. Okay, so that's the first shot, and I think it's a fantastic tool. So this is a close-up of a leaf. And I like it the way it looks already, nice color saturation there. It all looks good. So I'm going to come along anyhow up to the top left there, click on that for editing, and then I come over here to filter. And again, I'm going to start off with auto enhance. Simply come along, click on the big bar that says auto enhance, and bang, look at that. I'm going to take it back to the original. That's the original. Especially look in this area here. See what it does. See the kick it gives it. So the bottom left-hand section of this photograph where there's multiple leaves showing, look at that. The color and the contrast that it automatically lifts to works. Now, it's always preference. It's personal preference. So what we can do, if you like the look of it, but if you think it's just a bit much, you can come over to the intensity slider, and you can see the number up there, and you always can use that as your own guide to see that's the original shot. If you slide it right down to 0, it just displays the original picture. Go right up to 100. Now, for me, I like the 100 actually, but I might just take a bit off on this. Yeah, just a bit off. Yeah. So for me, I'm going to leave it at 89. And I like that. I like what it's done to this. I like that a lot. It works really well. That's what I think I'm going to be using. But let's have a look. We'll take that off. We're back at the original shot. Let's see what the warm contrast would do to this photograph. Another amazing effect automatically, instantly. But to me, it's too much. It's an overkill. But let's see what happens if we bring it down. If I bring it down, I prefer it. But I don't like the warm contrast effect as much as the auto enhance. I prefer that contrast. Often the warmth can interfere. And that's one of the ways. One of the ways to quickly decide, do you prefer the auto enhance or do you prefer the warm contrast? It's often the warmth that will adjust the whole photograph, sometimes incredibly effectively, or not. Might seem obvious, but that's what then guides you back to the auto enhance. Now, again, I stress both these filters many times are brilliant preset filters to help you out incredibly quickly with your JPEGs. But it doesn't always work, and we will do some of those pictures. So for me, on this one, it's auto enhance. I come over to the save options, save as a copy. I come over to downloads, and I am going to save it in my downloads. It could be anywhere, of course. I could be saving it on a USB stick. I know I keep saying this, but it's just so true. It's worth repeating. This image By the way, I select these photographs. I like the photographs that I'm using. These are all photographs that I've taken at one point or another, but I select them not necessarily for the quality of the image, but to illustrate. Um, Often it's, I mean, I must stress, I do like the photographs, but often I'm selecting them to illustrate a point. Now, in this one, I'm going to demonstrate how it can fail, how it just doesn't work. So we come along and we come up to filters. Now I'm going to go to auto enhance on this, and you've got an aeroplane flying overhead here. I don't know whether you can hear it, but I'll carry on anyhow. That's the auto enhance, and it gives it a nice subtle lift. Now I mentioned it, and this thing, it doesn't work. Now what I mean by that, I'm coming over to warm contrast. Now you see what's up here, it's all blown out. To keep it simple, it's blown out. So I'll take, it's on 100%. Here's the original. See that detail in there? It's still got a bit of detail. Can you see where the cursor is there? Just up there. Now we come along again, we go to warm contrast, and there's a blowout. It's too much, it can't cope. So we think, okay, we'll bring it down here with the intensity. But you see, even when we've brought it right down, if we go to the original, hang on, there's the original, bring it over to warm contrast. For it to have any effect on warm contrast, as soon as you lift it to where it does have an effect, which is in this case, if we go to, let's have a look, even though we get to 9 and 10 here, it's kicking in, but we're losing more and more detail immediately. So for me, that's not working at all. I don't like it. And again, here as well, don't like it. I'll just do that again. So you can see here it all loses this, the detail, the color of the leaf. It's all blown out there. So we come back to original, but we go to auto enhance, and it's just given it a gentle lift. Don't need to reduce this at all. I like the full effect. The auto enhances work brilliantly, and we've kept some detail here. Just bring that off. See how we haven't lost much at all? And if you are concerned and you want to bring it down a bit, you can. In this case, that doesn't seem to have a big effect. So I would happily leave it at 100. Again, original, bang, the enhance. It's not a huge kick, but it doesn't want to be, and it couldn't take it. It blows it out, blows out the highlights. So that's a case in point where the warm contrast makes the picture, it's not just a judgment on whether the warmth looks good or not. It actually blows out the highlights, and that doesn't look so great at all. So again, I'm going to come over here, save as a copy. I go to my download section. And that's that one. This image is carpet and curtain. I'm deliberately bringing in a different type of image to show the effect of this. And I come over here and I'm clicking on the editing icon, and I come over to filter, not adjustments, not markup, not retouch, not background. I'm coming over to filter. And I go to auto enhance. Bingo, look at that. I like it. It adds that contrast. I like that fix. I like that a lot. And if it's too much, that's the original. I can slide this intensity slider. And if we just want to be a little bit, I'd leave it around about 30. So if we took that off, put that on, that's at 30 or 28. Let's be precise with these things. There's 30, take it off, put it back on, gives it a lift. I personally would even like it a bit stronger. I'm very happy. This takes on a very different type of texture, but because of the nature of the photograph, to me it works. I like it. That's going to probably be where I'd leave that image. But let's have a look at the warm contrast filter. So that's the auto enhance. We've come down to the warm contrast icon. Not as effective to me. Let's go back to the original. warm contrast. And the reason is, even when we bring the density down, the intensity of the warm contrast is, again, it's introduced through having the warmth factor. Not only is it introduced contrast, it's introduced a warmth which has altered essentially the colouring of the image, and I don't like it. So it's again a case where that's why I then come back over to Auto Enhance, click on Auto Enhance, and I like that image. If I found that too harsh, I could bring it down to something like around the 30, and I'd leave it at that. And it's just personal choice. So bang, see how quick and efficient this is. So you bring it along, you've opened it up. Hang on, let's just get rid of that. There is the original image. You go, oh yeah, I think I can give it a bit of a lift. You come along here. Let's pretend we haven't got it on 30. So we'll take that off. You bring it in. You've got your JPEG. Open it up. Click that. Bang. You go, oh, I like that. Or if it's your personal taste, a bit too much, you just slide this up and down to your liking. Bang, come across, save as a copy. How long did that take? Now, we could be finessing, again, coming along to downloads for me, job done. So can you see how wonderfully effective and sleek this is? Now, if you're into the whole editing thing and it's a great passion, you love it, you want to spend more time on it, and you want to go more sophisticated software, absolutely knock yourself out, absolutely brilliant. Yes, you can do further tweaks that you can't do on this that may or may not make a noticeable difference. But if you're somebody who is just really not that into that element of your photography, but you want to give these images a kick, look how quick and efficient all this was. Now, this is a different image again. Anyone who's been following any of my videos will know I do enjoy my coffees. Here we are with yet another cafe coffee photo, almost mandatory to have in my videos, really. So we come across and we click on the editing icon, and in this case, we're coming to filters. And we're going to go to Auto Enhance to kick this off. Look at that. Bring it off. And indeed, it's interesting that where we lose detail, it actually potentially enhances it. This bothers me a bit much. It's just a bit blown out for my taste. So I like what it's doing, but I just want to bring it off a bit there. That's the 100. That's the original. So for me, pretty much at around 50. It gives it that kick, and I've still got the detail in here. I like that, and it's given me that kick. All right, I like it. So come bring it back off. That's the original. Bang. Just that spark, that lift, the color, the contrast, brilliant. Now, what happens with the warm contrast? Let's see what happens with this one. So that's the original, right? So we're back to the original photograph, the original JPEG. Okay. Now let's have a look. I like that as well. So this is one of these ones where the choice is not as clear as with the other images, where the warmth, say, affects either positively or negatively in other images. This is not so clear-cut, this one. Not quite sure on this one. I like the fact, I think what's happening here on the warm contrast filter, we're not losing quite as much detail at 100%. So we come back to original, go to Auto Enhance. I think this one, I'll bring that off, come back to warm contrast. Yep, it's warm contrast for me, which makes sense because, but the blowout here is too much, so I'm just going to bring it back. I'm going warm contrast, basically 50%. There we go. For me, that's the result. And the warm contrast makes sense because it was in such heavy overcast light, etc. It's nice that it's given the lift. So I come over, and again, see how quickly all this occurs. And this is without me, it's just making a judgment on these two filters. Come over here. I'm going to go to my usual download section. Of course, as I always say, it could be any USB stick, it could be in the cloud anywhere, it could be any folder on this laptop that I'm working with. It could be any of those things, but I'm choosing to pop it in the download section. Okay. Now this image is a bit different. It's obviously taken out of the window of an aeroplane, and you can tell that the window itself has had an effect on the color that we're looking at. So let's see what happens when we come over here and click the editing icon. We come over to filters and we go over to auto enhance. Now we've immediately got too much of a blowout here and here. So let's have a look what happens if we bring it down. It's interesting with this one. You don't have to do much at all. Certainly that's way too much. I don't like it at all. It's not effective. It detracts from the image. The area that I'm looking at here, this, when I lift this intensity, it really helps this out specifically, but I don't want to lose this. So for me, I like that. So auto enhance at 24, I like. Bang. Let's take that off. That's the original. What's warm contrast? No. See the color immediately. The warmth does not add. That's the original. No. So it's not warmth, again, for the same reason that immediately it becomes obvious. I just don't like that the warmth color. But if I go to auto enhance, bang, there we go. So to me on this one, it's auto enhance 24. Now, again, in more sophisticated software, etc., apps, we can be doing sections of photographs. So we could be working with this, holding this back, and all the rest. And it would take a lot longer. And often in some of these images, it would be even more effective. But if you take the time, effort ratio, and the achievement of what the lift is to the photograph, this is pretty amazing. Bang. You know, and once you've done a number with, I don't know how familiar you are with the whole post-processing, but once you've done this, if you've opened up your Windows app on various occasions, put in the selection of photographs that you've taken, and you want to give them a bit of lift or at least experiment to see what happens to them, you know, you can start to go through these things incredibly quickly, and your judgment will become more faster as well. Like at first you might be, oh, I just don't know, I'm not sure. But after a while of clicking around and comparing, bang, you start to get a greater sense of it much faster. So again, I'm doing my classic save as a copy, over to downloads. Now, sometimes I have to change the file name because I've already got it in my downloads. And then I'm faced with a choice of either replacing it or I alter the file name slightly, like I might put an E for editing. Bang. Then I save it. This is a different one. Rocks on the tide's gone out and it's left these rocks exposed. And I come over to editing and I go to filters. Now, this is warm contrast. And to me, it's too much. And that's the original. So if I was to use the warm contrast, I'll do a very gentle one on this. That's too much for me. Doesn't need much at all on this. See that? Okay. So to me, it would be around 19 if I was to use it. That's warm contrast. That's what it looks like. That's the original. That's warm contrast. So this is one of those cases where you don't need to use it at its full intensity. That's the original. Now, what about auto enhance? Okay, so we've lifted more contrast as well on auto enhance. It brings out the textures. Let's have a look, take that off. It's warm contrast. See, a lot of people may say, Andrew, go the higher intensity level, and we love the colors, Original, auto enhance. Now on this one, and again, boy, is it personal taste, eh? So to me, it'll be warm contrast, but that's way too much, and I don't like it at all. And that's not enough. We'll give it a... Yep. That's it for me. Intensity 21 is where I'm leaving it on this one. I like it. That's the original. And I just give it a little bit of a kick with the warm contrast filter in the Windows Photo app. It gives it that bit of a lift. And how long did all that take? It's slick, it's efficient, and yet you've given your photograph that bit of a lift, and it just gives it a tweak, and you go, wow, I've enhanced that photograph, and how slick was it to do it? Fantastic. Come over to save as a copy, come over to downloads. Again, I'm changing the file name because I've got the photographs already in my downloads, and I don't want to replace them. I want to save a copy, so I keep the original. So what I do is I alter the file name. Okay. Now, clearly this is another aeroplane shot. There we are looking at the wings, at the wing, and then we've got the soft clouds and the sky. So let's click on the editing icon, edit image. And we're coming over to the filter section, and let's see what happens with this. Dreadful, absolute blowout, dreadful. What happens if we bring it down to 40%? Still does not enhance anything. The best. So this is a case, in my mind, without a doubt, that auto enhance at any intensity level, I don't like. Don't like it at all. So I take that off. Get a warm contrast. What happens now? No, dreadful. Don't like it. Almost becomes surreal. Now, if you like that effect, fantastic. I'm not standing in your way if you like that effect. That's great. But again, my personal guideline is that I like to keep it as a sense of the original when I'm processing. So let's have a look at this. That's not good. So I realize in this video, it's all about the filters, and specifically the auto enhance and the warm contrast. But if you're interested in this, so what setting would make a difference? What adjustment would make a difference with this? To my mind, if I took some of the contrast out, so I'd come over to adjustments, and I'm just going to do this quickly because it's not what this video is all about, but I'll just demonstrate. And if you're interested in this, check out the other video where I've done Windows Photo app for contrast adjustment only. My guess is if I increase the contrast, that's not going to be so great. No, same problem. That's not working, which is, of course, what one of the factors that these two filters have that we're using is an increase in contrast. But my guess is if we reduce the contrast, we're going to have a picture that I personally prefer more. If we go right down, that's how it looks. And I must say that that's what I'd be doing if I wanted to enhance this photograph, taking out some of the contrast. But that's a side issue. But if you're interested in that setting, do check out the other video. But in this video, so let's come back to, let's put that back to 0, come back over to filters. Neither of these filters, the auto enhance or the warm contrast, work in my mind. Hang on, if I come over, why is that making no difference? And that's why. So there we go. So I don't like those adjustments at all. So let's take that off. It's quite disturbing. So, so this is a case. I just want to show where it's not always going to work. It's just not going to always work. But the frequency of which it does give your photos a lift, especially with this control of the intensity. Sometimes neither of the filters work because they're too intense. And you just slide that intensity dial, and then often, bang, it works, as we've seen with examples already in this video. But I just wanted to show an example where it just does not work. Okay, this is a little different. Lots of foliage and the fun telephone box there in the garden. Let's come over. We come over to filters, and let's see what's going to happen to this one. Auto enhance. Okay. See how it just does a nice little tweak? Not much at all, very subtle. But it's there. It's just there. Wow, how interesting. You can notice it perhaps in the red. I don't know whether it's coming up on the video enough. Just gives it that little kick. Now what happens with warm contrast? Oh, that's more vivid and added a bit of color as well. So to me, that's too much. That's the original, but I like that. And again, look, it's all personal choice. We're back to this personal choice dilemma. But here I am with the intensity of 57 on warm contrast, and I like it. That's probably where I'm going to leave this one. I like it. Go back to the original, go to auto enhance, and even at 100%, the auto enhance is incredibly subtle, just does a little tweak. But in my mind, this is a case where the warm contrast is the go at around about the mid-range there. To me, that's just a little vivid. It's just a bit too much. Bring it down there. That's the original. Going into the mid-range, where are we? 53. Gives it a lovely, lovely lift. I like it. It's not too unnatural. It's keeping the naturalness to it. So this is a case where the warm contrast works. Again, I'm coming over to Save Options. Save as a copy because I want to save it in my downloads. And I'm changing the file name because it's already in my downloads. And I need to change the name. Otherwise, it will replace what's already there, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep that original JPEG in my downloads. So now I'd have two in my downloads. I've got the original and then this edited version of it with a slightly different file name. I put in like the letter E, which means it's edited. That's just my own little quirky, amazing filing system. I'm going to make this picture the last picture for this video. And again, I'm selecting these pictures for illustrative purposes. I do like all the photographs. These are photographs, again, that I have taken at one point or another. But often I'm just selecting these pictures because I think they're going to illustrate a point in the video. So I'm going up to editing again, and I'm coming over to filter. So let's have a look on, ooh, see, that is a serious, there we are. That does enhance the image. To me, just a bit much high, but I like what it's doing. Original. So again, I'm probably, oh, actually, I could get to like it at the 100%. Maybe I'm underestimating that. To show you, but I think yes. So to me, I'd come down to around about 83. That'll be it. So let's take that off. That's the original. Yeah, I like that. Take that off. Now, what will warm contrast do to this? Yeah. The adding of the warmth is such a personal effect that often in this greenery, I find it just a bit much. It's unnecessary. That's the original. That's the auto enhance. Oh, maybe I've got a bit much there. I don't know. Let's have a look. Actually, I'm coming down to my original idea, just going to the 50% around, well, no, sorry, 60%. Yep, that's my choice. Original, auto enhance, 60. There we go. That'll be my choice. Gives it that lift. Bit more vivid in the colors, a bit greater saturation, increase in contrast, gives it that spark, all done automatically, one click of the button. Then I've got the intensity slider, all personal choice, bang, done. How sleek, and yet what a lift. Love it. And you can really, depending on how many photographs you've got and everything, but you can really get through a lot of photographs quite quickly and giving them all an enhancement. And again, of course, you can tweak and tweak and tweak. You can work with different apps. You can do more in this app. But sometimes the time spent and indeed what you can do with just a click of a button can be an amazingly effective tool. So look, there you have it. It's a really quick and effective photo enhancement technique, this. Open up the Windows Photo app, try those two filters, bang. It's so slick, it's so efficient. And I do hope that you found this tutorial helpful. Give it the thumbs up, subscribe for more quick photo tips. Share in the comments which of these filters that you prefer, which ones you find most effective for your photographs. And until next time, happy editing, but also happy photography. Get out there with your camera, enjoy, have fun with your photography.